where we took a long break and we are back for issue 49. With me, I have got
Captain Awesome.
And I am Max the Gamer Guy. As usual, we are going to start off with Fab or Flub, and then we're going to talk about some other things, such as this new video game that came out this week, Apex Legends, and Glass. It's time to talk about Glass. We're excited to be back. So before we get going with Fab or Flub, you may have seen our post about it on social media, but I just want to make sure our listeners are aware. Cameron has left Couch Crunchers. No ill will, just like Jay. It's just the kind of thing where it takes up a lot of time. We do this for fun, and they had personal things come up that they needed to devote their time there. So again, no ill will, but Cameron is not going to be on Couch Crunchers anymore. We got Tyler here helping us out. We've also been teasing some changes lately. Cameron leaving is part of that. You'll find out on our next episode a little bit more about what those changes are going to be for the 6 of you that listen to this. Just kidding. Anyway, let's get going with Fab or Flub. So I'm going to get our one Marvel one out of the way, and then there's a lot of DC news, and I'm really surprised by that. So first of all, if you don't know what Fab or Flub is, it's a segment where we read off some headlines and we discuss whether or not we think they are fabulous or flubulous. That worked out really well. I timed that delay so well. All right, so the first one is Endgame is currently 3 hours and could contain an intermission. The directors, the Russo brothers, have confirmed that their current cut of the movie is about 3 hours long, and they made jokes about an intermission. I doubt one will actually happen, but the jokes are it's 3 hours long and no one's needed to go to the bathroom yet. But there's still this underlying rumor that an intermission can be needed. So what do you think about that, Tyler? Fab or Flub?
I don't think anybody thinks that's a flub. Like that is awesome. Like I've seen the posts about that on Facebook, and I kind of scroll through the comments to see what's going on, and basically everything is saying if this was 6 hours long or 9 hours long, I'd be there opening night,
Yeah.
So I mean,
going late to work.
Yeah, it's pretty universally a good thing. And it's going to be a conclusion to some of the heroes that we've seen for the last, 10 or 11 years?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people want, more. They want more.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
And I'm one of those people. So I think it's totally fab.
I'm going to give a massive flab. I agree. Not a flagellance, a flab. I could get some silly today. I agree, dude. 3 hours is awesome. I'm totally down for it. I still don't think it's going to happen. And it's funny that we're talking about this because the last time you were on when we were having our gaming episode, we talked, I think, about this exact same thing, except for the intermission fact. But we were talking about how we like long movies like Lord of the Rings. Or if we look in your video there in the background, you've got a poster from Braveheart and Gladiator, which are 2 very long movies. I don't think either of them reach quite 3 hours, but they're both long movies. And long movies are good. Like you said, though, this is 10 to 11 years worth of films that are culminating essentially into this. Like, this is a conclusion of 11 years worth of films. And that's a big deal. So 3 hours?
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
I'm all for 3 hours. Heck yeah. I'm interested to see how they do it, though. I heard some people say they already fought Thanos. So are they going to really fight him again? And my answer to that is yes, they are. But I am interested to see what they're going to do because they fought him extensively. And if we're going to do 3 hours, what's going to happen in those 3 hours? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. I'm actually less excited for Endgame than I was Infinity War, but I'm still down for a 3 hour movie.
Well, I think that some of what you've said could open up a whole bag of things that we could talk about for a very long time. But I think the main point that I would say is going to be something that's going to need to be focused on is bringing in more villains, because just Thanos isn't going to be enough. I don't think, especially with the Gauntlet being kind of mangled, and bringing in Captain Marvel, that just Thanos is going to be enough to make it to where their fight is going to be, hard enough, basically.
Okay.
So I think they're going to need to bring in a little bit more there, and it'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Who could they bring though? I know there's rumors that Lady Death might come in.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be the big one.
I mean, and I guess that could be interesting so long as they don't follow the Infinity War, or the Infinity Gauntlet storyline of him basically pining after her, because that's stupid. One of the dumbest things ever in a comic book. I like that comic book, but Thanos' motivation of just trying to impress Lady Death is so dumb.
Well, and they've already bypassed that idea, so I don't think there's too much worry there.
No, I agree.
And even though the movie's going to be 3 hours, developing that relationship, I think, is going to be, it would be difficult considering how many characters there are, you know, because they're going to be focusing on a ton of people, bringing a ton of people back, obviously, and even possibly, depending on where they go with their Fox acquisition, introducing mutants and things like that. So
I hope they do. I hope they do, but I don't think they will, which is too bad. Maybe that's just me not wanting to get my expectations too high, because I would love to see the mutants in there, but I don't see them doing it because Fox's movie, why am I blanking on it? Oh, the Dark Phoenix one, or whatever they actually ended up calling it, is coming out after Infinity War. So I don't know that they'll bring in mutants. They could. I mean, it could be interesting.
Well, whatever they do, they're going to be opening up a new premise, because Thanos has been the underlying thing for all of the movies for, like I say, the last 10 years. So they're going to need to open it up to something else to continue the MCU.
Maybe Galactus.
What's that?
Maybe Galactus is next. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, there's going to need to be something that's going to be taking up screen time, and I don't see them even, especially after they've already decided not to go with Thanos' motivation being that he loves
Lady Death,
Lady Death, that they're going to all of a sudden introduce that. I don't see that happening, or there being enough screen time for it.
Sorry. I went camping last night and got no sleep, so I'm exhausted. I think an interesting villain, especially with the Fox merger now, is Apocalypse. I think could be a really cool one for the Avengers to fight. I know he's usually more of an X-Men villain, but he's extremely powerful and could totally go toe-to-toe with the Avengers.
Yeah, you just got to make him not look like
a Power Ranger villain?
Like bad cosplay.
No, I agree, dude. Apocalypse was such a disappointment, and that's why I want to see Apocalypse done by the MCU, because he's one of my favorite villains.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine Marvel doing it? Oh.
It would be so much better. I think I would have rather had them substitute the animation from the 90s cartoon in the X-Men movie than what they had. It was awful. But yeah, I mean, Marvel could do a really good job with it, put it in their hands, and see where it goes. I mean, and I think you're right. I think it might be far-fetched to have that mutants brought in, but it is a possibility.
They could at least tease it.
Yeah.
That could be an end credit scene.
Yeah. I mean, but it might be even more likely for them to reintroduce Fantastic Four.
True.
So.
Oh, shoot, Doctor Doom.
Yeah, Doctor Doom.
That would be a great villain for them to face off against. Or an ensemble of villains. Marvel hasn't really done an ensemble too much. And I think that they could do it. It can be done well. It's just hard to. And Marvel can.
And I think that they've done a good job with most of their villains. I feel like there's been a few flubs, I would say, with villains, but they've had some that haven't played as big of a role.
Mm-hmm.
That, like Lady Death, and she was fantastic. I felt like she did a great job in Ragnarok, and she was so powerful. Like
Yeah, she could
so
come back.
and Doctor Doom, it would be a really like he's kind of a villain that has range. I feel like, you know, he's got in depth. They could do a lot of character development with that type of villain, like they did with Thanos, which was what made him such a good villain. You know.
Excuse me. I'm also totally okay with them scaling back, which Kevin Feige has said they're going to. I'm totally fine with the next Avengers movie being a smaller scale villain rather than these massive, levels that they've been going with Avengers Infinity War and then now this one. Because I agree with you. They've been doing a good job with these villains. 2018, I think, was a big turnaround for Marvel, because I would disagree with you and say that a lot of the Marvel villains have been flubs. Most weren't good, other than Loki.
Loki is great.
Yeah. And Obadiah Stane from Iron Man, the original Iron Man, he was good. But like a lot of their villains otherwise were just kind of one-dimensional, not really that interesting other than Loki. But last year they brought in these villains that have cool motivations. Like Thanos he's a visionary. He's doing something terrible, but his motivations are to do something good. Or in Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Ghost, her motivation is literally just it's self-preservation. She's not that that's the greatest motivation ever, but it's better than just evil to be evil. And so like I enjoyed that. And then Killmonger, like he had motivation that was very relatable. He took it to extreme levels. He wanted to fight back against the people that have oppressed his people, but he wanted to do it by committing genocide, kind of.
Yeah.
Or oppressing everyone else.
I wasn't a very big fan of Killmonger. I thought that he could have been a really cool character, and they kind of made him like a whiny baby that like he was like, my dad was killed, so I'm gonna kill everybody else. Like, no, like give him some more depth than that, like I don't know.
I think he had more depth than that. Like to me it was very politically charged. It was kind of taking this, the culture in the United States right now of African Americans, and that's what I felt anyways, that he was saying the African American people are being oppressed and we need to fight back. That's what I took from his motivation. So that's why I think it resonated so well at least in the United States. And I mean, it was a worldwide hit, but I think in the US it's been a cultural phenomenon, which is why it was nominated for Best Picture, which I think is a terrible nomination. It was a good movie, but it was not the best comic book movie.
I felt that it was mediocre for Marvel. It was kind of not great, but not bad.
And I agree.
But I felt like his references to the real life societal issues that we're having were just that. They were simply references. Whereas when you look at his character as a whole, all he did was go like into the military so that he could go and do black ops where he kind of did morally shady stuff and killed a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to kind of like take power and have Wakanda rule everyone because that's who he was, and like his whole references to oppression were just excuses for what he was doing, not like his real motivation. So I didn't feel
a psychopath.
Complete sociopath. Like So it didn't resonate like that with me. So.
Okay. Well, that was a good discussion. So let's move on to the next Fab or Flub. And I think I said this at the top of the show, but there's a lot of DC stuff. So let's start with this, and I think this is one we'll agree on. The Batman that we've heard about from Matt Reeves for years now is set to release in 2020, and it is now confirmed that it will not star Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I mean, so far to me, that's a flub. I really started to like Ben Affleck as Batman, but we don't really know because we don't know who is the new choice.
Yeah.
So to me, right now, I would say flub just because I did like Ben Affleck, but it's kind of like up in the air, you know?
Yeah, for me, it's actually a fab. And I did like Ben Affleck. I liked him a lot. But I'm not surprised, I think is mostly why. Because, they said a long time ago that it was going to be a movie that's from before. It's not this older Batman, it's a younger Batman. And so I always kind of thought it'd be better to get a younger actor in there rather than Ben Affleck. Not that he's like super old looking or anything, but this, from my understanding, is supposed to be like 20 years earlier. Can you really de-age Ben Affleck to look good 20 years earlier? I don't know.
You can't. So is the timeline supposed to be 20 years earlier?
That it's not 100% verified how much earlier it is, but it's supposed to be earlier in his career, like an early career Batman.
Interesting.
Whereas, go ahead.
What I was thinking is if they had a Batman that took Ben Affleck's cape, because he's supposed to be like the older Batman, like the one that's gonna retire soon, if they had somebody who like took Batman's cape, that seemed like it would be the smarter way to go to continue the DCEU.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, all this jumping back and forth, like being somebody who follows it more than the average person does, it's so confusing to me. Like, what's going on?
It is. It's super confusing. We had Justice League in 2017, and then last year we had Aquaman at the end of the year, and now we got Shazam. But like, we haven't heard anything about another Superman movie, anything about Ben Affleck if he's coming back, another Justice League. Like, we've got a lot of DC movies announced, but nothing that really expands the extended like shared universe. And I think DC is starting to go a different direction where they don't want to do that, but it's confusing.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we know about Superman is that Henry Cavill is still in, you know, and which is great, but it's like, where is it? Where's Superman?
Yeah.
So it's but the other thing is, I did hear that he's somehow coming back for Mission Impossible. So hopefully we don't have another stash situation going on. But yeah, I mean, I am looking forward to Shazam. I love, what's his face, Chuck.
I'm blanking on his name right now too.
So great part, but I'll just call him Chuck. I love that actor. He's so cool.
Zachary Levi.
Zachary Levi.
I was starting to look it up, and then I remembered.
Yeah. So totally good for the part, I think. But
don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to it too. I think Shazam's going to be really cool. I'm just not sure what the heck they're doing. I don't understand what
Shazam should be leading somewhere, and there's nothing about where it's going.
Yeah. It's weird though, because Aquaman and Wonder Woman were great, and they really didn't tie in much. Like, Wonder Woman did a little, but not a lot. So I don't know.
And another thing that makes you think that they just forget about Superman is like the king, Aquaman's brother,
Prince Orm.
Yes,
King Orm.
King Orm. Yeah, he kept saying, "I'm going to attack the Earth with the mightiest force the world's ever seen," and you're just like, wait, Superman's on the surface, right? Like, like, did you forget? Like, Superman's there.
Yeah, and we've already seen that Superman is a lot stronger than Aquaman,
right?
But that was before Aquaman had the trident and could control the seas. So
yeah,
but still,
he's still. I mean, because he was taking on Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg at the same time, like they were
nothing, and Flash too. Like, all of them as if they were just ants.
Yeah.
So, Superman in this universe is so OP.
Yeah. I don't think that the trident is going to help him that much. But yeah, I mean, it's like, that's just another example of why are we not talking about Superman?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though each character needs their own movie. or even just a movie where like another one of the characters shows up a little bit, and but the fact that they are kind of acting like the characters don't exist in the other movies doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, like Thor in Thor movies, we'll talk about the Avengers and that type of thing. Like he's got his own movie, but he's still like the Avengers are still there. He's like, oh, we're friends, and so
they'll make jokes and
yeah, he's a friend from work, So I mean, it doesn't make sense. They need to start figuring this stuff out. That they need to have those connections. They need to have things intertwined. And it's really something that why a larger audience isn't getting involved in DCEU.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Sorry, I finally logged into the YouTube and I'm seeing that there's people in our chat. Sorry, SDS guys. But yeah, dude, I'm so confused about what's going on in the DCEU. And that's okay. That's all right. So speaking of being confused, I'm going to skip to one of these other ones because this is the most confusing one to me for the DC universe.
Okay.
They have said that they are in the early stages of developing a movie for The Trench. The Trench from from Aquaman, like those sea creatures.
Yeah. I heard about that.
What? Why?
Because they're just like trying to grasp at anything that was successful, like Aquaman did good. Let's see how else we can capitalize on this. And it's like, no, that's a bad idea.
It's stupid. I don't know. I guess I should reserve judgment before I know much more, but like I've heard some people say, well, hey, maybe they're gonna do it as like a horror movie that's based around the trench and it's like its own thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, I guess that could be cool, but what about Green Lantern Corps? What about the Flash movie? What about, these other movies that we've been asking? Man of Steel 2, for crying out loud. Like,
give people
I don't care about the trench. I don't care. And everything I'm seeing online is no one freaking cares.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a stupid thing. It's a flub for me, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's a flub. It's a total flub.
I don't even know if no, I did. I voted on the Batman one. So I don't even think we need to talk much more about the trench. I was just like, I felt like that was a good segue. So another one, and this one I'm a little bit more on the fence about, is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn has been confirmed for a release date of February 7th, 2020. It's going to star Ian McGregor playing Black Mask. Excuse me. Obviously Harley Quinn. And it's also going to have Huntress, Victor Zsasz, Black Canary, and a few others that are going to be in there as well. One of which is actually it's Cassandra Cain, who's actually Batwoman in the future. So, real interesting cast. What is your take on this movie so far?
I have to say that some of those characters I'm not super familiar with, but I'm going to say this is a fab because I want the DCEU to be successful. And I think anything that they do with Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie being Harley Quinn is going to bring success. Like, it's going to be a successful movie. Like, everybody's going to want to jump all over the Harley Quinn character because even though Suicide Squad wasn't super great, everybody loved Harley Quinn. So
yeah, she was good. She was really good.
So making her kind of the lead character and presenting it that way is going to be good for the DCEU. As far as what the movie's really going to be about and how it's going to tie into everything, like, I have no real knowledge about that.
Well, we don't know much at all. We've seen some screenshots and a little bit of footage, but it's about as teasy as it gets.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm going to say fab. I think the name is a flub. Really long. I don't know why they went with the Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. That's so long, such a mouthful.
What kind of acronym does that make? Does it say something? Maybe
let's see. I don't know. I'm curious. ATFEOOHQ. I don't think that really.
No, that means absolutely nothing. That is gibberish.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a really long name, and I think that's weird. But they are filming it now. Like, that's a movie that's actually happening. Unlike you hear like The Flash that they never even started filming. Like, this is happening. I've seen set photos, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, I watch the CW shows, and Black Canary's on there, and I think she leaves a lot to be desired. But I think a lot of that is budget, and with a blockbuster movie like this, I think it'll be more interesting. Same with Huntress. She was on Arrow, and I thought, meh, and again, I think it's the budget. So I'm excited to see these characters that I think are really cool characters. There's rumors of other characters maybe being in it. I think Zatanna would be a really cool one to have in here. I don't know that she would be. Maybe like in a sequel she could come be part of that. But I think it's an interesting concept, and I agree. Harley Quinn was the highlight of Suicide Squad. I didn't hate that movie, but it's my least favorite of all the DC universe movies that have come out. It's not great.
I mean, I still enjoyed watching it, but it was kind of it wasn't the best.
The more I watch it, the less I like it.
I've only seen it once, so
I've seen it several times because I rewatch these movies all the time. The Marvel ones, the DC ones, I'm always rewatching those things, especially because at my work I can kind of just put the movies on and just do my job and not pay full attention because I've seen it so many times, but it's still like enjoyable to have it on in the background.
Yeah,
I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think Birds of Prey will be really cool, and I'm interested to see Obi-Wan Kenobi as a bad guy. That'll be new. Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he does because I have not seen him in that capacity at this point.
Me neither. He's a great actor, so I'm all for it. No word on whether the Joker will be in this or not. I think it would be weird to not have him in it a little, especially considering the title is The Emancipation of Harley Quinn. I could see the beginning of the movie, maybe her and Joker having a falling out or whatever. But I don't need him to be in it a lot, but I think it'd be weird if he wasn't in it at all. Because currently those characters are very tied together. I mean, the last we saw, she got rescued by him.
They're always tied together. I mean, but I think he should be in it, but not a lot, and that's going to piss Jared Leto off. But I mean,
pay him enough money, he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact of the matter is, there just weren't enough people who liked the Jared Leto Joker, so it is what it is.
Yeah, because he's not great.
Yeah,
I don't hate him, but he's weird. All the tattoos, like the direction they decided to go was just weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. It wasn't likable.
Yeah, it's got me interested for the Joker movie. But that'll do it for the Fab or Flub. Let's move into talking briefly, because I mean I've only played what I played with you for like 2 hours. Apex Legends.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know what this is, it's a video game. If you've heard of Titanfall, it's made by Respawn, the same developer. So Respawn has made Titanfall, Titanfall 2, and now Apex Legends. And it was really interesting because I think it was about Monday of this week that we were just living our lives, and then boom, they released the game. It's out. Might have been Tuesday, but it was earlier this week.
At all.
Yeah, like over the weekend, Respawn did a little bit of teasing that they had something to announce. They had like streamers like Dr. Disrespect making teases on his Twitter and stuff. But just all of a sudden they just released this game. It's free, out now. It's another one of these battle royale type games. And if you've listened to the show, I'm not a big battle royale guy. I'll give Fortnite crap all day long because I think it's garbage. But to be fair, I haven't played it, so me calling it garbage is a little unfair. It's just not my type of thing, you know. PUBG doesn't appeal to me, but I loved Titanfall and Titanfall 2. So I was like, you know what? I'll give this one a try. It's free. Why not? You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I could have said why not for Fortnite since it's free as well, but it never appealed to me. It just looked like something I wouldn't enjoy. So, you and I downloaded it and we played for a couple hours the other night, and it's interesting. It's not revolutionary in the battle royale genre. I'd say it's relatively standard, but it's fun. You know, the gunplay's fun. I guess it is a little different in the fact that you've got like a squad of 3 and there's like 20 squads going up against each other. So it's multi-team based, which I prefer. I don't like battle royale when it's just me because I suck.
Yeah.
So having a team is nice, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's I played it by myself, and it wasn't nearly as fun.
Makes sense.
But it was. I mean, I think part of what makes it fun is the mechanics are very similar to Titanfall as far as like the combat mechanics.
Yeah.
And the guns kind of shoot similar, and that was done very well in Titanfall. And so it kind of gives the game a good feel. Whereas when I played Fortnite, Fortnite's is more one of those games where like I'm shooting a fully automatic gun, and it just gives you such a wide like hit zone, unless you just like putter off a few shots at a time, you know, and you just become wildly inaccurate. And I like them, and it's not as much run and gun, I feel like, in Fortnite. It's like run, shoot for a couple seconds, put up a wall, you know, and have like a massive inventory that you have to manage and throw out stuff all the time, which some people like that. I just don't like managing huge inventories.
I agree.
It's just
absolutely
not fun to me. Like, there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. I understand, and I can see why people like it, but for me, no. I'm just like, give me my guns. I'll have a few guns. And it's cool because you go and there's like armor in the game. You know, you pick up the armor, it auto equips. If you pick up a piece of armor that is higher quality, it auto equips that and drops your lesser one. You know, you don't have to be looking in your menu and doing stuff, especially in that kind of game type. You don't want to be looking in your menu and get shot.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not as battle royale savvy because I haven't done them, but I've seen a lot about them, and the inventory management stuff, like in PUBG, it's intense, and in Fortnite, it's a lot, and so I appreciated that, the simplification. I'm not an inventory management guy. I like The Witcher 3. I love that game, but like all the extra alchemy stuff and brewing potions, and I don't care about crafting. I just want to play the video game. And so I appreciate that about Apex Legends is, Fortnite and PUBG, from what I am aware, are pretty heavy in crafting and inventory management. And I love that. Yeah, you run over you pick up a piece of gear that's better, it equips it for you. Boom, you're right back in the action. And that's awesome. I really like that. There's still a learning curve for me. Like, I'm trying to figure out exactly which guns or which type of ammo, but the game is pretty intuitive. Like, on the bottom right of the screen, it has your ammo color, and if you're looking at the ground, you can see what color of ammo it is. So it's not super hard. It's just a matter of like memorizing what guns do what ammo and stuff, but it was fun. We got our butts whooped. I got 1 kill the entire time we played, but again, I'm not good, and battle royale, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't feel like a casual game mode usually. It's a little bit more competitive because the point is to be the last one. And I'm a casual guy. It's why I like playing Destiny and Halo. I mean, Halo can be pretty sweaty, and so can Destiny, but that's why I like playing those casual matches of Destiny and Halo, where I just kind of go in and I'm playing 4v4, having a good time, and I die and I'm back up immediately. I enjoy that. But it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy Battle Royale. I'm definitely down to play Apex Legends again. It's free. It's fun. The guns shoot well.
It's not pay to win.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean it's I think part of its appeal is in its simplicity. It's also got high quality mechanics, like I said, and it's just it's more combat, less putting around. That's what I feel like. And which is, it just makes it more action packed. And I mean, there's a few things that are learning curves for me too, because I've gotten to, I haven't gotten first place yet. I haven't played that much. I've played maybe a couple more hours than you, but maximum. But it's like I've gotten to the end of where, there's like 6 or 7 of us left. I think I've gotten 5th or 6th place a couple times. But when I get to the end, I don't know what to do, because I will sneak up behind somebody and put like 2 clips into them, and then they turn around and shoot me, and I'm dead in half a second. And I'm like, how did they survive? Like,
Because they've got just so much better gear than you, probably.
Yeah. I mean, they must have learned how to like make their characters super strong, but it is a little bit annoying to me that you can get your character that strong. Like, I feel like you're in a shooter, there should be a reduced kill time, like you're not playing an MMO. Like, it's so.
I don't know. That's part of what battle royales are, though, is it's getting the best gear.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, I
get
agree.
that.
Laying 2 clips into a guy and then not dying is pretty annoying.
Yeah, or like one guy, I mean, I had a pretty decked out shotgun, like, I had a couple of purple pieces on it and everything. And man, I shot him 4 times just like point blank with this shotgun. And just turns around and bam, I'm dead. I'm like, take it, what is happening?
That sucks.
I mean, I have to learn a little bit more about how to be good at end game, I guess. But so but I mean, it's a new game. There's going to be a learning curve for everybody.
Well, the tough thing, from what I understand, is that the best gear is usually in those, when we were playing the other night, we landed in some hot zones.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the best gear is. But you land in and there's tons of other people. Right. So it's super competitive to get it all. And then the only way after that to get it is by killing somebody who has it. But it's so hard to kill them, I mean, I'm sure there's other ways to get the good gear. Just a matter of, discovery and figuring that out.
And I haven't even really found a good way to identify where the hot zones are, So
yeah.
I don't know, but there's more to figure out. But but overall, it's a fun game. Mainly, I think, because it's more action packed and the game mechanics feel more solid.
Yeah, I really appreciated that I could just log in and get into a fight. I've seen people get into a PUBG match. I've watched some streamers, and I'm just like, I've been watching you for 15 minutes, and you've encountered nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just going into different houses finding gear. And if you find that enjoyable, that's all well and good. But I cannot tell you how annoyed I would be to spend 15, 20 minutes getting a bunch of cool gear, and then I get into one firefight and I'm dead.
Yep.
I would be so aggravated. Like, I spent 20 minutes literally doing nothing. Like, I didn't mind the fact that we got into an Apex Legends match, and within 5 minutes it was over because we all died. Well, all right, we leave the match. We get, experience points for it still. We move on, go into the next one. And the queue times were really quick. We were getting in pretty darn fast. For a game that came out without any beta, because these online games usually have betas. For a game that came out without any beta, it launched pretty darn smooth, I'd say.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that Respawn was genius with this, because with how many Battle Royale games are coming out, I feel like when they get announced, it's like the internet does an eye roll, and when they kind of try and build hype for months and months, eventually the hype is just like it turns negative because the internet just decides to start bashing and bashing and bashing, and they didn't allow that to happen. They just came out and said, we got a game, try it out,
It's free.
Yeah.
And I agree. I can't even remember the name of it, but there's a battle royale mode coming out for Battlefield 5 that just came out, and people don't care about it. And partially that's stupid on EA because they own Battlefield 5 and Apex Legends, and they're releasing within a couple months of each other. So that's kind of dumb of them to do that. But you're right. Like, people are not excited about this Battlefield 5 one because they're just like, well, whatever. But then Apex Legends comes out within 3 days. It has 10 million people that have downloaded and have played the game. That's incredible. 10 million people. That's a lot. And granted, the game's free, so that doesn't mean 10 million people spent $60 on a game. But I'm telling you right now, I'm sure they've already made loads of money off of people buying, season pass or whatever, or skin packs or whatever have you. Like, people get into these battle royale games and they really want to make their character look as cool as they can and whatnot, and buying those, skin packs, or that's how these games make money. And I know that you're fairly against microtransactions, but didn't you say in free-to-play games like this, you're more okay with them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, if that's the only revenue source for the game, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, because they need to make money, obviously. It's not charity.
Yeah, when it's something where you've already paid for the game, and then there's microtransactions on top of that, that's where it becomes problematic. And that would... And there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with that, but I feel like most people, if we had a long conversation about this and I was able to lay out the real reasons behind why and how it affects future game development, most people would agree with me on it. Because it starts affecting it. You may have a great game that has microtransactions, but you're going to start disrupting not only that company's game development, their quality, but other games in the industry as well. And we've seen it happen.
I do agree with the sentiment that if that's where you're making all your money, you stop focusing on making a great game and you start focusing on making great skins, making great dances, just so you can make money. And I get that it's a business, but that sucks for the gamer in the long run, that the focus is on these microtransactions rather than just making the game great.
Yeah, and it's something that you can see a drop in, like you've got games that have sequels that come out, and you're just like, most of this is a copy and paste. You've got a few new elements, but we're not seeing any like massive game-changing like things that we would see from sequels in the past, and there's still some developers out there that are doing a great job. Like, I'm not trying to say the whole industry's in the pits, but a lot of the companies that focus on microtransactions are having that issue. Destiny is definitely a good example. Like there have definitely been some great aspects of Destiny 2 and some not great aspects of Destiny 2 that we've seen. And I feel like we've seen more and more of that as they've focused on adding microtransactions in the game. So
you're right. Yeah. You're right. And that's actually one of the companies I was thinking of was Destiny. And I'm hoping that with Bungie now being an independent developer, because they split from Activision, I'm hoping that improves things. But we'll see, because now that they're independent, they're going to need money even more than they did before, because they need to keep themselves afloat. They don't have the backing of a big publisher anymore.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you, and I think that they have made such a good move by distancing themselves from that publisher, because it shows that they have recognized that they need a stronger focus on game development, and they're going to be using that to bring a quality product. And the quality product is what's going to sell in the game industry.
Yeah.
I mean, marketing always has its place. It's always important, but quality product is going to be the best seller for games, especially when you are seeing other game developers' quality going down.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point of these developers that are actually good at focusing on their games, I'd throw two out off the top of my head. One, Rockstar.
Yeah.
What they did with Red Dead 2 in comparison to Red Dead 1, they revolutionized that game. And they do have their I know you can buy, like for Grand Theft Auto, you can buy like money that you can use in the game. But they delivered an amazing product, so I don't really mind them doing that as much. And they use it to fund live content that continues to be free for you. GTA 5 online had tons of free stuff consistently coming through, and it was all funded by, well, first of all, the fact that Rockstars are like, it's like a billionaire company, maybe even trillion, like they're huge. But then also the fact that people were buying like Shark Points and whatnot that helped fund, development, that for those who don't buy it, they get it for free. And then another developer I'd add to this list is Naughty Dog. I think I'm
trying to think of what Naughty Dog makes.
They do the Uncharted games and The Last of Us.
Okay.
And granted, and you look at the Uncharted games, they're relatively similar, but they continue expanding on one another, and they're very, very good. Uncharted 4 being top notch. I still Lost Legacy is the last one they released. It was intended originally to be a DLC for Uncharted 4, and then they kept adding so much more content, and they made it its own game.
Yeah.
I need to play that one. I technically own it, but yeah, they're another one of those developers that I think does a really good job. But you see others, and I'm usually one that, I don't want to say I defend EA, but I think people get out their pitchforks a little too heavily for EA. But I think EA is one of the culprits here. You look at the Star Wars franchise, and EA sucks.
Yes.
Like, they announce a game and then they cancel it. They announce another game and then they cancel it. Like, in the few years they've had the Star Wars license, they've released Battlefront and Battlefront 2. That's it. Like, and they've had this license for like 5 years now. You look at what Lucas Studios used to release, and not all the games were gems, but in a 5-year period, they'd release 10 games. Like, it's aggravating. And EA is one of those ones that their focus is microtransactions and making money, and less about making good games. Yeah. I liked Battlefront 2, but looking back on it now, I'm realizing, you know what? They could have made a much better game if they had focused more on that rather than, ooh, can we get people to buy skins or whatever else,
Yeah. And speaking of Star Wars games, I mean, Disney needs to jump on this and fix this issue, because you've got, like, who was it in Force Unleashed? It was Starkiller was his name, right? Or what was it? Starkiller. Yeah. Starkiller. Okay, so he's a fantastic character. It was games from how long ago? 8 years ago was the last one released, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 2010. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you still have people talking about him, saying, "Let's have Star Wars movies made about him and what happened with him," because we don't know his whole story.
Yeah, it got cut short with the second one. They never did the third.
Yeah. So I mean. And then you've got the new character in Star Wars Battlefront 2. They did a good job with her. What's her name?
Is it Jalen? No. I don't know. Now I'm going to have to look it up.
Anyway, her character was great. They added a little bit of content with Luke meeting up with some people in Battlefront 2. And honestly, like, when people see those types of things in games and they get that connection with those characters, you have instant cred with the fans if you start making movies with those characters in it. People are going to be hyped if you can take those characters and start putting them into the Star Wars universe. And so it may not work exactly with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 characters because of the timeline, and what movies would need to be made for them to like not be super old, you know.
Yeah. Iden Versio is the character's name.
Iden, yes. So like, you know, people are going to want to see a young version of her where she's in action, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure where that would fall in the movies, but people want to see Starkiller. People want to see characters like Iden, like immediately once those games come out. And so with Solo struggling and Disney like rethinking how they're going to release Star Wars movies and what content they can put into them, you've got instant awesome support from your fan base once they see a new character in a game that has depth and you know, and can really be integrated well. So, and that's cool. And they you know, I feel like Star Wars fans love connections to other things, you know, like in the Star Wars Clone Wars, it came out that who's the head clone? What's his name?
Rex.
Yes, Rex. So Rex was at Endor.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so they're like, yes, this old guy that was a leader at Endor that you see for like 3 seconds is Rex. Like, you know, it's been confirmed. And so like, obviously they didn't plan that from when.
Yeah, but it works.
But it works, and fans loved it. Yeah, even that small of a connection, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, Disney needs to jump on this problem with EA and be like, EA, we need characters that we can introduce in our cinematic universe that is going to get our fans hyped about watching our movies.
Yeah. Well, I think a great way to introduce Iden Versio would be I think it's The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian takes place after Return of the Jedi, right? Isn't it before Force Awakens?
It's not. I'm pretty sure that it is after the events of Episode 9.
Isn't there one they're doing, though, that takes place after Episode 6 but before Episode 7? Because I feel like they were doing that, and she would be a good character to throw in there.
It's not The Mandalorian. It's the one with the guy from Rogue One.
Well, that's going to be before Episode 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I'm not sure.
Good old Star Wars. Maybe they're not doing one that takes place right after. I know Star Wars Resistance is about the Resistance, and that's the cartoon one.
Yeah, I was just thinking that would have to be before Episode 4. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know of anything after Episode 6.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree with you, though. Like, bringing in Iden Versio would be really cool, and I think Disney's streaming service is going to be a great way for them to do this kind of stuff. And you know, because the actress that plays Iden Versio is not that old. Like, she looks like her character does in the video game. Yeah, they modeled it after her, so she would totally be able to play that character easily. She's done live action before. She was on Arrow as a character. She was actually Oliver Queen's girlfriend for like a few episodes. She's a cool actress, and I agree. I think that'd be really cool. Another good tie-in was in Rebels, and fast forward 15 seconds if you haven't watched it, is when Darth Maul goes to Tatooine to fight Obi-Wan. That's really cool.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's freaking
so cool.
Awesome. It's awesome. And that kind of stuff is a great tie-in. Yeah, I agree with you. Or just even telling people that Rex was at the Battle of Endor. Yeah, those things are all really cool. I really want them to find a way to bring Ahsoka Tano in somehow. I think
everybody wants that.
I think everybody that's again. Yeah, I think again that's a. You know what? No, it could be in Episode 9, man. We don't know how long those aliens live for. She could be in Episode 9 for all we know.
That was what I was saying too. Like, her species, like I have no idea how long they live.
Yeah,
and if they had something in the extended universe before about how long her species lives, it's not canon anymore.
Yeah. Well, and even still, like she was a teenager in Star Wars Clone Wars, and that was about 50 years before these movies that we're seeing now. So, I mean, she could be a 70-year-old woman. That's really not that old. She could totally be alive still, very, very easily.
People want to see a Jedi that is, we've had a lot of old Jedis. I feel like, Obi-Wan was old in A New Hope.
Uh-huh.
Yoda was old.
Count Dooku, Sith, but the Emperor,
you Force wielders, yeah. I mean, the Emperor, yeah. We want to see more young blood come in and like get some really cool choreographed fight scenes in the movie,
And I think Ahsoka could be that because, again, we don't know how old they live. Maybe that race lives until they're 500 years old, and a 70-year-old is like someone who's 20 in our, reality.
Even if they live to 150,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be crazy long. If she's 70 years old, she's only mid-aged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I was gonna say she could be brought in for the TV shows because it's hard when so many fans that don't watch those other TV shows are seeing the movies. They wouldn't know who she was. But I mean, does that matter? You can bring in characters that people haven't heard of and still make them interesting in the movie. You don't have to know the background, but knowing it makes it better. You know what I mean? Anyway, I agree with you. That's funny. We weren't even going to talk about Star Wars, and then there we went off for like 15 minutes. Well, let's move into our last topic, which is Glass. And just that Shyamalan universe in general. I know you and I have a little bit different opinions, so yeah, I want to hear from you. What do you think? What did you think of Glass?
I loved Glass. I thought it was so good, and I think that it's a very controversial movie. You either loved it or I don't know anybody that really hated it, but you either loved it or were kind of like meh about it,
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I could still nitpick at it and pick a couple of things out that I didn't like so much. But the acting, I felt like, was fantastic. And M. Night Shyamalan did such a good job of making sure that all of those characters like were developed in a way that you had a connection with all of them.
Yeah.
And one thing that is so different about it from the MCU is that it was meant to be something that could be more believable and real. It's not like there's a purple guy with like some chin that looks like a rake went over it.
There's not a purple raisin that's obliterating half the universe?
Yeah, exactly. There's
0 out of 5 couch cushions.
There's no raccoon that's shooting rockets at people. Like, so, I mean, it's meant to like be like, this could happen. This could be a real thing. This could be something that is happening in your world right now, and you just don't even know it.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was really cool. They brought it more down to earth. It was like as down to earth as a superhero movie can be.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you. I noticed that your thoughts there were pretty spoiler free. So I'm going to give my spoiler free thoughts, and then we'll dive into spoilers so that anyone who's listening who doesn't want spoilers doesn't have to be spoiled. So my spoiler free is, you're absolutely right. From what I've seen, you either love it or you're meh. I was more in the meh category. That does not mean I disliked the film. I liked it. It was good. I just didn't think it was great, like Split. Split, I think, was great. And I was trying to watch Unbreakable before we recorded. I just couldn't find it, and didn't want to pay $20 for it. But I can't really remember. I remember liking Unbreakable, but I can't remember where I would rank it amid the three. But all in all, like, I did enjoy the down-to-earth feel of it. I mean, I wouldn't say that any of this is realistic, but it's so much closer to realistic. Like Mr. Glass is pretty real. Like someone being as smart as that guy isn't far-fetched. The Beast, the multiple personality disorder, that's a real thing. And who's to say someone couldn't have 19 different personalities? It's a bit out there, but it's possible. The Beast thing is where it gets unreal.
Right.
And then in Unbreakable, his character, Bruce Willis's character, he's not like Superman strong. He can bend bars strong. He's just a little stronger than the average man. I mean, a lot stronger, but you know what I mean? Like maybe only twice as strong as an average person. Nothing like he can lift a train. But it's grounded, and I really do enjoy that. I just wasn't wowed, and I, in some regards, cannot put my finger on why. But maybe let's dive in now with spoilers so that we can discuss a little more, because I do have a few thoughts, but like just nothing crazy. So if you don't want Glass spoiled for you, stop listening. This will be the last thing we talk about on the show. You won't be missing anything else. I guess before we go, make sure you check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on our website, couchcrunchers.com. We got articles going up all the time. But yeah, check us out. So with that said, let's get into Glass. The twist just wasn't that great to me. And there were several twists. So I liked the twist that it was the Beast's father that was on the same train with Bruce Willis's character. I think they called him the Shadow.
I feel like that was kind of a universally liked aspect of the movie. Yeah,
that was cool because it elicited a reaction in the Beast to where he essentially killed Mr. Glass. And that was cool. I really liked that. I liked the fact that in this trilogy, there's a film that focused on each of the three characters. Unbreakable was clearly Bruce Willis's character. By the way, is that Diet Mountain Dew?
It is.
Bro. Heck yeah. That's my jam. But yeah, Unbreakable is clearly about Bruce Willis. Split was clearly about the Beast. I think Kevin is his real name. And then Mr. Glass is about him. And so I really liked that, and it gives this arc about all three of these characters. It culminates all their stories into one. Again, I liked the twist about the dad, and I enjoyed the second twist of Mr. Glass having this whole thing planned out and everything, but I just didn't find them all dying to be satisfying. Mr. Glass dying was fine, even the Beast. And I guess even Bruce Willis dying was okay. It was just how he died. Like, he got his face put into a little pond and was slowly suffocated to death. Like, what a horrible way to go, and not fair to his character, in my opinion.
That was the one major issue that I had with the movie. I did not like how he died. I felt like it was kind of a little bit disrespectful to his character from the organization that's supposed to be, protecting the earth, and they're going to take the hero and treat him like that. That did not sit well with me. I didn't like that.
I would have rather had the Beast kill him.
Yeah.
Or like they kind of both kill each other, or as they're fighting, the Beast lands a final blow on Bruce Willis's character, and then the organization shoots the Beast. Like, that would have been better to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't that Bruce Willis's character, the Shadow, died. It was how he died that really, really turned me off.
Yeah. Was
not a fan of that.
Agreed. But the rest of the movie, in my opinion, was so well done that I was able to overlook that. Obviously it's still something that I would be like, no, that definitely needs to be changed. What should have been changed. But, it didn't make me have that much less of an opinion of the movie as a whole. So
fair enough. Another thing I really liked was the organization. Before you know that it's this organization that is essentially trying to stop people from knowing about superheroes or superpowers or whatever. what I liked was how they took the feats that these people have done and turned them into realistic ideas. Excuse me. Like how they talked about how Mr. Glass, you're not that smart. You're no smarter than any average person. Or for the Beast, those bars were 200-300 years old. It really wasn't that big of a feat for you to bend them. Or Bruce Willis's character, you're not actually weak to water. You just don't like it. It's psychological. You don't actually have the ability to see. It's not that he sees the future, right? It's that by touching someone, he like knows things about them. Like it's not that you have a power. It's that you're just ultra perceptive. You're a mentalist, you know. I liked all that, and I was starting to think, oh, is that where M. Night is going to take this? That they aren't actually extraordinary, and that we just thought they were. I did enjoy that. I thought that was really cool. I was glad that wasn't the case. I was like, no, I want them to be extraordinary. That's fun. And so I'm glad that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you as an audience member start to question things, even though they have small hints throughout the whole movie that it's not that, you know, like for example, in Bruce Willis's cell, they had all the water that would hit him, you know, and it's like, if it's true that he's not weak to water and he's not strong, why do you need that defense?
Good point.
I mean, so I mean, there's little things everywhere, kind of, you know, no pun intended, but sprinkled around like that. That like they you know, kind of had it in the forefront of the film, but at the same time, you're still like, is this really how they're going to spin it? Like, is this really going to happen? So they did a really good job of manipulating not only the characters in the movie, but the audience too. So I thought that was super well done.
Another thing I loved was James McAvoy is just incredible, and he shows that in Split and in this movie. The ability that guy has to change his character on a dime, like with those flashing lights, and he just all of a sudden he's a new character, flashing lights, new character. And like each one, even though it's the same actor, I was like, that's a different character. Like it's so believable. It's so good. His acting is just, he needs to win an award. It's so good, dude.
Yeah. And I mean, not only is it like, oh, that's a different personality, you know which personality it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's there's no question like which personality he's changing to.
There were a couple times I wasn't sure, mostly just because I felt like they introduced some personalities we hadn't seen before. Like in Split, they never gave us.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, like when he was Patricia, oh, I know that's Patricia. When he was not Kevin, but like, yeah, you could tell when he was the main ones. Like it was really, really good. Yeah. And otherwise, I can't put a finger on what I found underwhelming about it. I think the 3 out of 5 that Sam gave it on couchcrunchers.com is an apt review. If you were to give it a number, what would you give it?
Well, I would give it a 5 stars.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because like I say, like there's no such thing as a perfect movie. But an excellent, super great movie to me is a 5. You know, I mean, even some of the best movies on my list, like Lord of the Rings, for example, there are things that I would change about the Lord of the Rings movies. Okay. You know, I felt like Faramir's character was not treated well in Lord of the Rings.
I agree.
You know, so but it's in my opinion, probably the best trilogy out there. So
I think I'd agree with you there. It's an amazing trilogy.
Yeah. So I mean, you could put Star Wars next to it. Some people are going to do that, but for me, Lord of the Rings is probably the best trilogy, in my opinion. And there are things I would change, but to me, that's a 10. You know, that's or 5 out of 5 is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as perfection, but it's about as close as you're going to get, in my opinion. So
You say there's no such thing as perfection, but have you ever seen Gremlins? I'm just kidding.
Well,
I kid. I would say The Princess Bride is close to a perfect movie, though. That movie's so good.
Yes, actually, there's been a post going around about that. It's the actress from Kimmy Schmidt. When she was young, she played not the main actress, the old lady on Kimmy Schmidt. When she was young, she played the old woman who's like, I'm not a witch, I'm your wife,
Oh,
Yeah. So she played that character, and she talked about how Princess Bride should never be remade.
I agree.
And the comment that I put under there was, most every movie that I can think of, there's something that I would change about it, and I can't think of anything with Princess Bride. I mean,
great movie.
It still isn't my favorite movie of all time, but for the type of movie that it was, I don't, there's nothing I would change about it. It was perfectly cast. It was, everything about it was just so well done.
Well written, just hilarious.
Yeah. So I don't know. That you got me stumped there. Princess Bride is pretty perfect, perfectly done. So.
Well, I was mostly trying to make a joke, but it's actually true. I can't think of anything I'd change about that movie. But like Lord of the Rings, which is also one of my favorites, I agree. Faramir wasn't perfect, and some of the crap that they just made up, I didn't really like being in the movies. Like the Mouth of Sauron in the extended edition, awful, just awful.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that'll do it for us tonight. Good movie. I like Glass. I'm glad you loved it so much. I want to own it. I want to watch it again, and I hope I change my mind to give it a higher score. But I left the theater just enjoying it, but not loving it.
Here's what I have to say about Glass, okay? As kind of an overall feel about it. So M. Night Shyamalan, his movies often are just about, leaving you with your thoughts and letting you have like this overall picture of the universe that you can take somewhere in your mind, And sometimes he does that really well, and sometimes he sucks at it. But this movie, the way they brought it all together, and I loved how they just like came out, over a decade later, and made this connection with Unbreakable, and how he was able to do that in such a cohesive way, and the way that he left it with everyone died, all the main characters died, but it wasn't about their story. It was about making the world aware and being the origin story for the rest of the world. And then your mind is what takes it from there for what the possibilities were. Like that was for that type of movie. I feel like that was the best that I've ever seen, how they ended it, comparable movies would be like Inception, right? I thought Inception was super great, and they left you with the thought of, oh, was he in the dream the whole time, or was he not? And there's all these arguments about it, and they kind of leave you with, well, if he was, then what's going on? And so there are movies that kind of leave you with that, like maybe this, or like what's going to happen next. And this was just done in such a high quality, really cool way that kind of commemorated the characters that they had built up. It was just really, really done well, and I feel like if that's something that would interest you, you're really gonna like Glass. You know.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find people that don't like the movie. I mean, you can find them, but I think the average person, if you've seen the other two, you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I cannot put a finger on it. Honestly, talking to you is making me think, oh, maybe it's better than I'm thinking, and wanting to raise my score in my head up a little higher. But yeah, I want to watch it again now. But I also want to go back to the theater and watch Aquaman again. And there's a lot of things that I want to watch again. At any rate, that's going to do it for us. So as always, check us out on couchcrunchers.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are at Couch Crunchers on all of those. We post often. We like to put up funny memes. If you want to interact with us, you can email us at info@couchcrunchers.com. You can tweet at us, send us a message on Facebook. Any of those avenues work. If you want to ask a question and have us answer it on the show, we're happy to do that. But yeah, until next time, let's do this. You ready?
I think so.
All right. I will wait for you. So you do your thing. I will try to time it myself.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
So I'm going to start with nerds. Nerds.
Dorks.
Geeks.
Unite.
Unite. Woo!